Hello, what's up YouTube? Ron is with another tutorial, and in this tutorial I want to show you how you can easily color grade your outdoor raw files or your raw photos in Photoshop. And those that usually have that kind of phobia for how to edit raw files and you tend to shoot JPEG that is against your will, this tutorial is for you so that you don't tend to have that kind of fear to shoot in RAW, because after this you're going to be really conversant with the colors and how to do the adjustments for your RAW files, and also how to make your photos pop, and lastly how can export 16-bit images and very sharp images to retouch into Photoshop after doing the adjustments in the camera filter. So a brief information about this photo. This is a raw file taken using my Canon 6D camera, and I shot this image at ISO 250 using my Tamron lens 7200, and I shot it at 200mm, and the f-stop was 2.8 and the shutter speed was 1 out of 1600th of a second. So usually for outdoor images, you can see you always have to first of all look at the image and first of all take into consideration the adjustments you want to apply to the image. Remember, we first of all want to do those kind of local corrections or local adjustments to the photo before we can go ahead and retouch it. And if at all you want to retouch your images faster, the very first thing you have to do is first of all color grade it, then retouch it later on. You can't retouch and color grade later on, so that is more like a tip for you. So the very first thing I do, I come and look at the image, and you can see the very first thing we want to correct is the blown out highlights right here, or the sky, and we need to get back the information within the sky area. So I'm just going to come to the highlights, and remember, in order to get back information in the highlights of the image, you have to take the highlight slider towards the left hand side, which is the negative side, and you can see this gets back a little bit of the blue color. But in order to complement that, I come to the whites and also take that down, and this gets back the information in the photo. So I come to the contrast and I simply add some contrast into the photo, and also take my blacks down to around 27 is fine for this case, because we don't want to lose out on the information within the black areas of the model's outfit. Then I'm going to open up the shadows a little bit to get back information within the darkest areas of the model's outfit. So after doing the basic adjustments, I come and add some little bit of clarity to around 6, and also add vibrance, and this makes the photo pop a little bit more. So after you have done the basic adjustments, you can see or look at the image that we have uneven skin tones, or also have that kind of magenta color that is embedded within Canon cameras. So in order to kind of encounter all that, just come to the tint, and remember the opposite of magenta is green, so move the tint slider towards the green side up to a point when you feel like you're comfortable with. So I think that looks fine and looks okay. So the next thing is going to be doing the color grading, and you're going to come all the way down to the color mixer option, or the hue, saturation and luminance. So a brief information about these sliders. The hue slider changes a given color, and it either targets a color on top of it or below it as it is changing that color. And saturation is more of the intensity of a given color, and luminance is more of the lightness or darkness of a given color. So you should take that into consideration. So let me first of all explain to you the hue option. So for example, if at all I come to the greens and I take the greens towards the left hand side like this, you can see when you take a given color towards the left hand side, you'll be targeting or changing it towards the color that is right on top of it. So remember, the green color was green in the first case, but when I took the green slider towards the left hand side, it was turning it towards the yellow color. And when I do the opposite and I take it towards the right hand side, I'd be changing the green color towards the color that is just beneath it, which is the aquas. So basically that is how this works. So I'm just going to first of all come to the luminance, and I'm just going to darken the blue color. Remember, when you're playing with luminance, it's more of darkness or lightness of a given color. So since I want to darken the blues in the photo, I'm just going to move the slider towards the darkest side, which is the left hand side. You can see the blues are now turning to look dark, but don't overdo it, because this is going to look weird and awkward, and you can see this kind of fringing within the edges of the trees or the leaves in the background. So don't overdo it, just add a little bit, slight. So 27 is fine. And now the next thing I want to play around with is going to be the luminance. I just want to brighten up her skin tone slightly. I'm going to come to the oranges and take up the oranges slightly, so that the body can really pop a little bit more and add some kind of shine within the skin tone. Then the next thing I want to do, I'm going to come to the hue slider, and I'm going to play around with the skin tone. Remember, if at all I want to add a given color within the skin tone, for example, I have some kind of red color within the skin tone of the model, I'm just going to move the red towards the oranges so that it can blend in and look more like the oranges, to get rid of the reds that are within the skin tone. Remember, skin tone usually has these three colors: reds, oranges, and yellows. So I'm just going to also take the oranges towards the yellows. So since I'm moving it towards the right hand side, I'm making the oranges yellow. So you can see right now the skin looks a little bit more uniform. I'm going to come the hue slider of the blues, and I feel like I want to get that kind of teal feel within the blues of the image. I'm just going to come the blues and simply move it towards the left hand side so that the image can pop a little bit more. So I think at around negative 25 or negative 24 we are good to go. And I could as well play around with the purples to see what works best for me. So I'm just going to take the purples all the way down, just like that, slide. So you can see the before and after, before, after. So the next thing that I want to do, I'm just going to come to my split toning option, and I feel like I should add a given color within the image. So the very first thing I do is playing around with the highlights. So I feel like I should add a greenish feel or tint within the highlights. I'm just going to come the saturation, and I move this up. So don't mind about the image. So just take the saturation up slightly, and when you start moving the hue option, you can see the image tends to look or starts changing. So I feel like I should add a specific color within this photo. So I feel like I should add some greens within the image, but remember this is a little bit too much. So I'm just going to come back to saturation and now take it down depending on the look I'm trying to go in for. So this looks good, and it is really subtle at the end of the day. So you can see before, after, before, after. So I could come back the contrast and add a little bit of contrast, because I prefer to have more contrast within my images. So I think that looks good, and also turn the black slightly down so you can see the before, after, before, after. So the image is really standing out and it is popping. So remember, I promised to show you how you can edit 16-bit images in Photoshop, if at all you have been editing 8-bit images, and also how you can sharpen the images before even retouching them in Photoshop after doing the color grading within the camera raw filter. So just come and click on this option right here. So when you click on it, it's going to open for you a camera raw preference window for you, and make sure the color space is Adobe RGB, and the depth channel, you can change this between 8-bit and 16-bit. But if at all you want to have a wider range of editing and have more information to work with, I will always recommend you change it to 16-bit. And don't play around with the image sizing or resizing. And now you can sharpen for screen if at all you want that kind of sharpening feel within the image. So just come and turn on sharpen for screen, and you can add that kind of sharpening. So if at all you want a high sharpening, you can add high, low, or even standard, which is a medium sharpening. So you can also open the image as a smart object. Remember, when you click on this option and you open your photo within Photoshop, it means that you can double click on the smart object or that layer that you have already opened within Photoshop after color grading, and you change the color grading later on. But if at all you don't check this, once you commit the changes after color grading your images, you're not going to be able to change them later on. So basically that is it, and now hit OK. And after doing the color grading, you can come and hit open. Don't click on done, just click open in order to open the image into Photoshop to do the skin retouching on your images. And this is all for this tutorial, and if at all you have loved it, don't forget to hit the like button. I'll stress this yet again, don't forget to hit the like button, don't forget to subscribe if at all you haven't subscribed this channel. Ronix from Ronix Photography. Thank you for watching, and see you in yet more amazing tutorials. And don't forget to keep practicing and keep creating.